over the dark night. She reached up to the sky of stars and caught the red-hot light of the North Star.
Well, greetings and welcome back. The United States has been trying for quite some time to interject itself into Venezuelan politics, seizing the Venezuelan oil company Citgo and its assets, seizing Venezuelan gold that's in British banks as part of the Venezuelan Sovereign Wealth Fund, seizing the property of the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, D.C., and even trying to impose Juan Guaido upon the Venezuelan people as their president. All types of shenanigans. In May, the United States Supreme Court granted an emergency application filed by the Trump administration, meaning that Trump officials can move forward with reversing a decision made at the tail end of the Biden administration to extend protections for almost 350,000 Venezuelans under the Federal Temporary Protected Status Program. Why is the United States continuing to attempt regime change in Venezuela, and how has the Maduro government been able to withstand the challenge? Let's connect some dots and find out.
Connecting the Dots with Dr. Wilmer Leon, where the analysis of politics, culture, and history converge.
Welcome to the Connecting the Dots podcast with Dr. Wilmer Leon, and I am Wilmer Leon. Here's the point. We have a tendency to view current events as though they occur in a vacuum, failing to understand the broader historical context in which most events take place. During each episode, my guests and I have probing, provocative, and in-depth discussions that connect the dots between these events and the broader historic context in which they occur, thus enabling you to better understand and analyze the events that are impacting the global village in which we live. On today's episode, the issue before us is, why is it that as a sovereign nation, Venezuela is constantly under threat by the United States, irrespective of the American administration in power? The Monroe Doctrine is obsolete. My guest is in the office of the Minister of Foreign Exterior Relations since 1989. He's been the International Relations Coordinator of the Civil Service Workers National Federation of Venezuela. He's the IT Commissioner of the Anti-Imperialist Working Class Platform, member of the International Relations Team at the Working Class Vice Presidency of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, and a former diplomat officer at the UN in New York, Tulio Virguez. I hope I got that right. Welcome.
You said it perfectly. How you doing?
I'm well.
Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Tulio, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me start with your thoughts on the accuracy of my introduction and why is the United States continuing to attempt regime change in Venezuela, and how is the Maduro government able to withstand the challenge?
Well, most people will short the story saying that it's because of the oil or because of the natural resources, but it's not. It's more than that. Venezuela, we consider ourselves South Americans and Caribbeans people, because most of the Caribbean belongs to Venezuela. Venezuela has this very tiny island in the very north of the Caribbean Sea. He gave us, it is called Isla de Aves, the Bird's Island. It's a tiny island. We have just a Navy small base over there. But he gave us 350,000 square miles in the Caribbean. We have border country with the United States through Puerto Rico. We have borders with Trinidad and Tobago, with France through Martinique, with Netherlands because of the Curacao, Bonaire, and Aruba. So we have border. We have borders with most of the Caribbean. We have a border with Dominican Republic. So all this mass of water belongs to Venezuela. So what is this important? I mean, resource control, the strategic position, of course, and the geopolitical influence. We are part of the CARICOM. We are part of UNASUR, of course, and we are part of all these multilateral mechanisms that we have in the South. But we are also have a voice. I mean, we are a permanent member of the CARICOM. So he gave us that power, that influence, let's say, in the Caribbean. So Venezuela was blessed by God. And of course, you can imagine all the natural resources. The fish, I mean, we own the ocean. So that's why, not just now, I mean, I'm talking 200 years ago, Venezuela was very important for the European empires and, of course, after the United States.
Wow, that's I've never heard it. I've never heard the explanation provided in that manner in terms of the ownership of the vast expanse of ocean and how that then connects you to so many other countries.
Yeah, I mean, that at the UN we vote as groups. So to have borders, to have this permanent trading with all these islands, give you the vote of 26 countries if we need it. And then is what the United States is trying to control. Thing is, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's still being in Caracas. He was a candidate for the senator in Wyoming for the Democrats, and I was telling him that the empires they cannot understand Africa. They cannot understand Latin America. They cannot understand these small countries, but not because they are not intelligent, not because they are fools. They are not capable to understand the Arab countries, for example. It's a cultural capability, let's say.
Is it a white supremacist mindset?
Exactly. It is like myself. I cannot get the child birth because I'm not a woman. I'm physically, biologically incapable. So they are culturally and intellectually incapable of understand all those countries. Even if they invade them, you saw what happened in Vietnam, you saw what happened in Afghanistan, you saw what happened in Panama, in Cuba, in Nicaragua. So of course, because of the capitalism. But I remember, let me tell you this. I remember that we have a meeting. It wasn't of the OAS. It was like the America Summit in Panama one time, and President Obama was there. And all the presidents, Lula, Chavez, the Argentinian one, the Cuban one, everybody was joking between them. They know each other. All the Caribbeans, they would say, the last time we saw each other, President Obama was so isolated.
Mm.
I mean, he didn't belong there. I mean, but everybody else, even if we speak French or Portuguese or English, we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it in a very diplomatic meeting how they joke to each other.
Mm-hmm.
President Obama, started the speech and just left. I mean, I was, moved because of that. How we are part of the same continent and we cannot understand each other. And not even to the native of United States, the indigenous people in the United States. They never understand them.
But one of the things I take away from what you just said about that is you said he gave his speech and left. So he didn't even try to integrate himself as a black man. He did not even try to sit down and say, "Hey, brothers, let's talk."
I don't know if he's black or not. Believe me. He started the speech saying, "Okay, let's forget about the past. Let's move forward.
Says, let's turn the page."
Exactly. So the president of Argentina, I remember her name. She said she took the floor after him and she said, "No, I don't agree. I mean, I think that the history is important. We have to know where we come from to move forward." Mm-hmm. So he was unable to apologize, saying that, well, this is a new era, and I cannot speak for the predecessors of me, but they did things wrong, but we are here to move on investment. It was a speech that he could use, like the Pope that he apologized for the crimes of the church 500 years ago. You are not going to the market with that, but it means a lot. It means a lot. Mm-hmm. So he was very arrogant, I think.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to describe it. So this past May, Venezuela's ruling United Socialist Party and their allies were victorious in the parliamentary elections. I want to say they received almost 5 million votes, or 82% of the votes cast. And a lot of people in the West don't really understand that it wasn't but a few years ago, former President Jimmy Carter claimed that the Venezuelan, he was there as an election observer, and claimed that the Venezuelan elections were the fairest elections that he had ever attended. So talk about, I mean, when a party and its allies, particularly in a parliamentary setting, get 85% of the vote, that is a clear mandate, and that is a clear statement by the people about who they want to run the country.
There's a funny story about the observation that Jimmy Carter did here. The coalition of parties, of the left parties in Venezuela, we invite, as a coalition, we invite the OAS. Who invite Jimmy, the Carter Center, was the opposition coalition. And he said there was a fair election, that is a perfect system. And then they claim that President Chavez paid Jimmy Carter to say that. They invite him. Because they thought that, well, it was an American guy, so he will support us by nature. And it wasn't the way. I'm an IT guy, and if you can cheat, I will cheat everything. I will hack everything. I won't give you 3 states and 35 seats at the Congress. You will say, either way, you will say that it was a fraud. So what happened with the people of the opposition that won this time? It was under the same system.
Mm-hmm.
In some of them that they lost, they recognized the results. But until the New York Times doesn't say anything in favor of the system, everybody will say that it was a fraud. But we have been having like 30 something elections since 1999.
Mm-hmm.
People, for example, say that, well, the abstention, you say, the
Abstention, or people that
abstention,
don't participate.
the abstention was very high. It wasn't at all. Depending on the election, it will call for different passions.
Mm-hmm.
If you were, for example, a city council member and mayor's elections, more people are going to vote because they are closer to
Local elections.
Or presidential election, for example, of course, it calls for the highest passion of people to vote for whoever they want to vote. So people just stay home. But either way, I have some figures here. We have 21 million people in the registry, and just 6 million people vote. But 6 million people, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
For those 6 million people, 5 million vote for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It says more than a percentage,
So Maria Machado, the opposition leader, far right opposition leader, I think she's really kind of Juan Guaido's U.S. replacement. She called for a boycott.
Mm-hmm.
How powerful is she, and where would she be without the backing of the United States?
Well, she's very powerful, I can tell, because she has the money.
She comes from a very wealthy family.
No, she has the money from the American government. She has the money from the Colombian drug dealers. They own Citgo. I remember Citgo by 1999 or something. We used to have 13,000 gas stations in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We sell 10% of the gas in the United States. Now we have like 6,000. By the way, these 3 refineries that we have in Texas, they are custom made to process extra heavy oil.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot buy oil from Saudi Arabia and use those refineries. You are not going to change a pipe and it will work. So it was custom made by us. And they, you should know, they still sell oil, gas, because now they are refining oil from Canada, that happen to be extra heavy, and from Mexico. But this money is not going to Venezuela. Somebody's keeping that money, but we still have 6,000 gas stations around the country. So she has money. With money, you can buy, snipers and mercenaries and whatever. By the way, we captured like 35 people that supposed to try to do a coup during the election.
During May? You captured 35 mercenaries in May?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I didn't. We didn't hear about that.
No. People from Albania. So another Argentinian. I think that it was 2 Americans involved. A bunch of Colombians. I don't see somebody from. But I will check in on Orinoco Tribune or something. But I will give you some figures before.
I remember what they call the Bay of Piglets, which was about 3 or 4 years ago, where some Venezuelan fishermen caught American mercenaries, but I didn't realize that there was another attempt this past May.
Yeah, I mean, recently I have all my friends from all over the world as international observers. We just spend one day in the hotel for security reasons. But this is something that most of the Venezuelans were exhausted of violence. Even their supporters. I mean, I remember that they do that kind of riots, the guarimbas. They kidnap themselves, so they close the rich neighborhood. We don't go over there, so they get exhausted to participate. But she has supporters, of course. I mean, in the working class neighborhoods, only the rich neighborhoods. But they have been losing people because a businessman wants to do business. In Venezuela, you can find anything, from Mostard Dijon from France to a Mitsubishi brand new in the street. The thing is how expenses are the thing. But it's not the same story like 10 years ago that you cannot find bread or you cannot find milk or eggs. We are exporting eggs. We are exporting fruits. I think you asked me. You were saying at the beginning of the show that how with this huge attack from the United States and Europe, how the Venezuelan government have find out the way to get out. The working class people. A few years ago, I was with Danny Glover, and because I entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1989, so I entered to work for the government 10 years before Chavez. I was a kid. I was a guy, a geek guy. I just believe in Microsoft and in the IBM. And but Danny asked me, Tulio, you were before. So tell me just one thing that you can use as a that make the difference between before and after Chavez. So I took my time, I have a cigarette I mean, it was a very deep question. I think that is the political consciousness. I mean, if the opposition get to win here, I don't see them. How can they govern Venezuela? How can you take 19,000 doctors from Cuba away? Are you going to bring American doctors? Are you going to bring Australian doctors? But people have been having a doctor right in the corner for the past 20 years. Now they knock on the door at the Ministry of Agriculture. You have to open the fucking door. I'm sorry, because it's our right. And they go to the National Assembly and they open the doors and they would like to take the floor because they have the right. Before, people that didn't know the Constitution. When Chavez got to power, some people didn't know the national anthem.
Really?
So, yeah. And
what's amazing? What's amazing to me is Venezuela does not have. Well, let's say 5 years ago, did not have, because of the U.S. sanctions, had problems getting food, but people were still fed. Had problem with housing, but people still were housed. Had problems with education, as you talk about, with medical care, but people still had doctors. That people in the West don't understand that even in spite of the American challenges, the sanctions, that Venezuelans have always found a way to take care of Venezuelans.
Look at what happened with COVID, the COVID pandemic. Who did better in this hemisphere? Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. If we lost don't remember the figures. We lost 15,000 people. Maybe it was less than that.
Mhm.
What happened in Brazil? What happened in the United States? What happened in Canada? Not because there are more millions of people, and we didn't have access to the vaccines
Mhm.
because the blockade.
Mhm.
Even the United Nations wanted to give us the vaccines. We depends on the Russians, on the Cubans, and the Chinese, and we did it. We did it well. I mean, we are very proud of that, by the way. But in terms of food, for example, here, Coca-Cola company, or because the blockade, the sanctions are against the government, not against their own companies. We have a bunch of McDonald's. You can buy we don't have any bank from the United States, but we have Coca-Cola, we have Marlboro, we have everything here.
Mhm.
And but some private companies that runs, you know, the food production, they have workers inside. So the working class, they start, for example, to sell. They cannot do holding of the products because of the law, but they, instead of produce oil in a half a liter, they produce oil in a gallon, so the poor people cannot buy it. So they are producing, they are still producing, but
Mhm.
in some other shape. So we create a law that it doesn't depend if you had a trade union or not in that company, but the law protects you. So you will check the production. It's called los committees of production, los comités de producción local. So
The
they,
Committee of Local Production.
yeah. So, but inside the companies,
Mhm.
Kellogg's company, for example, Kellogg's Food Company,
Yeah.
they have a huge factory here in Miranda State. They have a 24-hour production, so yeah, 3 shifts. So suddenly they told the workers, 640 workers, no, listen, don't come during the weekend because we are going to, put another software on the server, and let's see each other on Monday. When they arrived on Monday, they saw a sign that says, we close commercial operations in Venezuela. The sugar was Venezuelan. The corn was Venezuelan. Every raw material was Venezuelan. The chocolate was Venezuelan. They just closed because they wanted. Of course, we took over the factory, my friend. I mean, we have to. And they used to have 2 lines of production. Now we have 3. And we have a loose lawsuit in the United States because we are still using their name.
Okay.
I don't have one here, but you will say cornflakes, Kellogg's cornflakes made in socialism.
Ah,
And
do they taste
in
better?
our,
Do,
yeah,
do, do cornflakes made in socialism taste better?
it should be a slogan. I will send you a cup next time.
Okay.
You can have it. But the thing is that we have a defense, not an official defense, because we are not going to defend. We are not going to defend ourselves in a court of law in the United States. But publicly, presidents say, well, this is still being your factory.
Mm-hmm.
We were defending the right, the constitutional right to work that you violated. So if you would like to come back, we will give you the factory back with the 640 workers inside. So it's a romantic defense, but it happened with Goodyear. It happened with a lot of companies that they closed because they wanted.
So along this line, President Maduro recently received in Venezuela the head of Iran's parliament, Mohammed Bakir Qalibaf, president of the Consultative Assembly of Iran, was just in Miraflores Palace in Caracas earlier this week. So talk about how relations with countries such as Iran and China have enabled Venezuela to navigate through these, that the sanctions have forced a lot of different countries to come together and cooperate?
Well, somehow we should thanks to the United States government, because we move away from we depend on oil. In Venezuela, we just produce the best rum in the world, the most beautiful women in the world. We have 6 Miss Universe and oil. Now we are producing many things because we have to survive. So, but it happened to Iran. You were there. Everything is made in Iran.
Yes.
They don't assemble Peugeot cars from France. They produce every single screw. And what happened with Cuba? What happened with Nicaragua? Nicaragua is the safest country in the continent.
Yes,
Nicaragua.
that is true.
So we were forced to do it. So now they're facing all these countries that are fighting them, let's say, to get united. I remember when the Iran-Iraq war happened, Soviet Union was supporting Iraq. Now Russia is a very close friend of Iran, because we have to get united. We should create a United Nations of countries under sanctions and start to trade among us. But it is happening. It's happening with the BRICS.
I was just going to say, isn't that to a great degree what BRICS has become?
I mean, more than the half of the planet is on the BRICS now.
Correct.
In population.
When you look at the population of the countries that are members of BRICS, more than half of the world's population is a member of BRICS. That is true. So
it's a menace if they get to get more developed, you know. You will have 1,000 million people in India that will there's a labor, force. So I think there is no way back. I mean, the world just changed. That's it.
The shift from the unipolar control and the hegemony of the United States to a multipolar dynamic that now is being managed by BRICS and other countries. That horse is out of the barn.
Because the solution was never to have a bipolar power. I mean, it didn't work. It didn't work. And now we have, besides that, we have some regional leaderships, like Mexico, like Brazil, like Argentina, as a country, as a producer. Argentina used to feed the world during the Second World War. But and you see, for example, the Asian tigers. You see Vietnam, you see Singapore, you see all these people with their own, and you see the African Union also. What is South Africa now? It's a power. I mean, it's a powerful country now. I think that changes are not gonna. I mean, we're not going back. We should, maybe with the time. I always tell my friends that I used to have a friend of mine from the Nurses Association in New York. She was a trade union, and she ran for the state senate, and she won because she has 1199. She has a local 100, 35,000 votes here, 60,000 votes here, and she got the position in the state senate. I'm not talking about to create a Labor Party in the United States, but if more people from the trade unions do the step to get more political, maybe with the time I say we because I'm a human being. No? I belong to the same continent. We will have better representative in Washington because hopefully they won't forget where they come from. but unless until we still have the same people that believe in the Cold War and the same old people in the Congress in the United States, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen.
You know, I found it very interesting how people who went to monitor not this past election, but the election before, they were surprised at the Iranian grocery stores that were in Cuba. I'm sorry, that were in Venezuela, and
Yes.
and they said everything you want, anything you wanted to buy in terms of food products, you could find, and that the grocery stores were there thanks to Iran. I mean, that really shows at the very grassroots level that how the people are being supported, and when the people are being supported in that manner, they don't change their allegiance. They stick with who's feeding them.
No, and besides, the people start to interchange things. The people now, they are seeing more Arab people in Venezuela. It's more common. So this band actually it's not gonna disrupt because of another president comes. You see, for example, in South Africa, how South Africa is dealing with technology, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Very, 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 very independent. How they help each other. I remember President Chavez did the first time in history, the first international summit south, because if you see the map of Africa, it fit in South America. So we used to be one continent. Before Chavez, we have like 3 embassies in Africa, like 5 maybe. We have an embassy in every single country in Africa because it matters. We used to deal with Africa through London, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but not now. I mean, we have an embassy in Mali, an embassy in Zimbabwe, an embassy in Kenya, in every single country, Arab country, not in Israel, but for the first time, that's what I mean.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned the continent of Africa, and then specifically you mentioned South Africa. When you look at Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, and his visit to Donald Trump.
Wow.
Okay, I don't have to finish my question. Go.
Wow.
Go ahead.
It was so disrespectful and so ignorant of the history. I think that Donald Trump believed that he come from Venus or Jupiter. No, brother, you come from Africa. By the way, when Biden was in power, I received a high-level delegation from South Africa, ministers, and they told us, I was translating, they told us, listen, we have an historic close relations with Biden since the 60s and 70s. And we already talked to the White House. I said, listen, whatever you have with Venezuela, we have business with Venezuela. And they told us in a very high level, no, whatever you are doing with Venezuela, we are not going to mess with that. Mm-hmm. So use us. They told us, you would like to buy, I don't know, an American plane, we will buy it for you, because they are not going to ban us. It's not happening with Trump. But that kind of solidarity, effective solidarity, it is something new, actually. In Argentina, they have 2 huge confederation of orders. They fight each other since ages. Now they're getting together. They will found a new one because of the president it have to happen, something like that, to get united. But at least, people open their eyes.
So how do you balance Ramaphosa's visit with the development of Traoré in Burkina Faso and the alliance of Sahel states? How do you see How do you see that? And is that having an impact in Venezuela?
Well, it will have a political impact because we count on the vote of the African Union of countries, no? And the UN, in every single space. So any change in the region affects us, not in terms of trade, but
Momentum, but in terms of momentum and spirit
and political support.
Okay.
And we won't stop trading, but in terms of in the political international arena, if some regimes change in Africa, it will affect us. It will affect the Caribbean and so on. But it was a shame how President Trump treated President of South Africa, and the excuse was so weak. The thing is, people believe that. People don't. Young people are watching porns on their phones. They don't. I remember. Besides being an IT guy, I'm an amateur astronomer. So I was very. My idol was this astronomer. Will remember now. He was interviewed by CNN back in the 70s, and he said that in some schools in Washington they put like a world map without the names of the countries, and the kids point Cuba in Brazil. They point I don't know, the Soviet Union in the Caribbean. So
they don't know a map of the world. They don't know geography.
They're focusing, in themselves. I'm talking about young people. This is absolutely wrong. They're not. They will become an expert, an engineer on nails, but they don't know anything about screws. So they don't have the global.
They don't have a worldview.
And they last not caring about the thing. That's the worst part. And their children won't care, and so on. So I think that if the youth vote in the United States, history is gonna be different. Who votes in the United States? Mature people. Elder people, but not young people. They are not motivated to do it. Here is different. In Latin America, the women and the youth move this country. We are just passing the age, but they're very active, very very active, very active.
So now a travel warning has been issued. The United States is a dangerous country where human rights for migrants do not exist. This is a statement released by the foreign minister, Ivan Gill, warning that if you're thinking of traveling, cancel your plans immediately. If you already live there, consider leaving immediately. And I saw a report that there's a downturn close to 15% of international travel to the United States. But again, the foreign minister of Venezuela, Ivan Gill, has warned Venezuelans about traveling to the United States. And this while, as I said earlier, the Trump administration is reversing extended protections for almost 350,000 Venezuelans. How do you see that dynamic impacting the relationship between Venezuela and the United States?
Well, I don't see people stopping going to the United States. For tourism or for business, they have the money to do it. It's not besides Disneyland. It's not our target to do tourism. We are more alike Europe, because we're a colony from Europe, than to the United States. But and in terms of business, they will keep doing business. The thing is that, as you say, he canceled, he betrayed the people that supports them and support the opposition here. In the last plane that arrived, it was a guy that in the social media, he was wearing a t-shirt saying Latinos with Trump. He got deported. He got deported to Venezuela. So maybe in terms of it could.
Hang on a second. Let me be. That's an important point. Trump deported a Venezuelan back to Venezuela, and when he arrived he had on a shirt that said Latinos for Trump.
Latino for Trump.
So the point is that Trump is deporting his own Venezuelan supporters.
Yeah, or the Venezuelan supporters of the opposition that are their friends.
Okay.
So what it can be is that they got disappointed on keep supporting the opposition here.
Okay.
So because my son is over there, I lost everything, and you didn't protect me, and you lied to me.
Okay.
So hopefully they will deport more people.
How are those people? What I've heard is that indigenous Venezuelans don't want those people back because they see them they see them as traitors.
Because they trade the motherland. I mean, they love different. My friends in the United States for 4 years. I mean, I was living in a building of 3 stories and 6 apartments. I never met anybody. I said, hello, that's it. It was, of course, the Latino people and Black people. So I always been in Harlem because you cannot get related. I mean, people don't care about each other. So I think that people losing this support, it won't make the change, but it will contribute to get the opposition weaker here in Venezuela, and sooner or later, the U.S. government is going to betray a high-rank opposition leader. Maybe they will turn them in because of corruption or something like that. I mean, the simple thing is you have to be checked.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that violates laws over there. So sooner or later, they're going to be in jail, betrayed by their own government.
You mentioned earlier in the conversation, you were talking about the election, and you said, even if the opposition won, how would they govern? And one of the points I think that is important for people watching this conversation need to understand, as far as I believe it, the United States tries to make President Maduro out to be a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't think the United States understands is the Venezuelans don't see this as personal in terms of who they elect. It's about the revolution. So long as the candidate is supporting the country and supporting the revolution, they will back the candidate. As soon as that candidate turns on the revolution, the country will turn on the candidate. So they look at what's her name? I mentioned her a little earlier, Marina Machado. They look at her as a traitor to the revolution. Therefore, or Juan Guaido as a traitor to the revolution. They cannot support that. There's no way in the world that a Marina Machado or a Juan Guaido would ever be able to govern Venezuela because they've betrayed the revolution.
I saw in my very working class neighborhood, very famous here in Caracas, like 15 years ago. President Chavez was alive. A woman with a T-shirt that says, "I am not Chavista, I am Bolivarian." Wow, wow! It says too much. I mean, it's not a person. It's of course, President Chavez. President Chavez made me cry more than one time during a rally. The day I see somebody crying because of a speech of Maria Corina Machado, that day we will lose the election. If they start to rain, people go home. No, if the president is raining and the president is there, nobody moves. It's a matter of love also. It's like, I mean, it's a romanticism. The left is romantic. They are not famous poets on the right. The famous poets have been communist all the time. So
I want to repeat that. I am not Chavista. I am Bolivarian.
Bolivarian, yeah.
That's deeper than being Chavista.
That's deep. I mean, with President Chavez,
right,
in the top of his fame and everything. I mean, openly, but it means a lot.
Simon Bolivar.
Simon Bolivar, yeah. Simon Bolivar. People here are so. I was about to tell you something about the immigrants. Some of them, even if Maria Corina Machado get to the government palace, they're not coming back. They don't have this connection with the country. They're not getting rich over there. I mean, they are living, with the salary until the last day of the month, as well as here. They are not coming back. Some women, they go to Peru to find a better future, and they left the kids here. But there, they get married there. They have new kids there, and there is a universal right of the kids. They have the right to have a dad and a mother. So they're violating we are waiting for them. Just to tell them, let's say, hey, you will do some community work. Because you deny a right to your own kid. And that's one of the things that I admire of the Brazilian very right wing. They are nationalist.
Okay.
First of all, they are nationalist. They hate, they support Israel or whatever, but they wear their flag. If the IBM open a factory, hey, 80% of the workers have to be Brazilians, and so on. Here, the opposition here, they just moved to Miami. I mean, they don't have this. They don't miss the street, the land,
To that point, I have said to folks for a number of years. I started realizing this during the Biden administration, as there was talk here about whether or not the United States would invade Venezuela. And I said that would be a huge mistake, because the government has armed the people. And some folks looked at that just at the very surface level, saying, oh, so the government has armed the people to protect the government. You have to be very
to protect the country.
You have to be very confident in your people to arm your people.
Well, some people say, neighbors of mine, people all the time on TV, on radio, they say that it's a crappy militia. Oh, they're just old people. They say the same in Vietnam. They said the same. It's a crappy militia. But the thing is that I don't think
People's Army, a People's War, General Giap in Vietnam.
I don't see them. I don't see them winning.
Mm-hmm.
They have to kill us all. That's it. They have to kill us all. That's the problem with Iran. If they go to Iran, they have to kill them all. All. So there is no surrender there. So I don't, geopolitically speaking, I don't see them. They will push the economical thing until we start to use rubles or what is the currency of China? Yuan, something like that. Actually, it was something that moved President Bush when UNASUR, when President Lula, he creates UNASUR. I mean, UNASUR was created because of his idea. The CELAC was created by the idea of President Chavez. So right away, he creates the South Bank. Wow, that's a threat to the World Bank and the American Inter-American Bank, whatever. So we will ask for loans to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, wow, I mean, don't do that. Don't the IMF and everything, and the army. I mean, it's in written that we will have like a coalition of army forces as a bloc.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't accepted by the United States. So.
My brother Tulio Virguez. Did I get it right?
Yep, perfectly. because you see these two dots on the U, it means that you have to pronounce it exactly.
Virguez.
Virguez. If not, we will be Virguez. So.
Got it. Well, thank you. I hope that you will accept an invitation to come back. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for that analysis, and I truly look forward to having you back.
Well, I have 2 invitations for you because I can imagine how busy are you. You're still at the university as a professor, right?
Yes, I am.
Well, we have 2 international events coming, and I will be in contact with you to help me out. Even inside universities, I believe, for example, the directors of Latin American studies, this is good people to invite because they can do a better report back than maybe an actor or something like that. We will host in September the World Anti-Fascist Congress of the Working Class, and feel yourself invited, and we will let you know with the time. And by the end of the year, we will host elections for mayors and city councils members. So you can come here as an observer. You can.
Thank you. We'll work that out. Thank you very much.
And convince Skipper to come with you.
That won't be hard to do. That won't be hard to do. Well, some of my audience has asked, please have Tulio back. I will. You've been a joy to listen to. My brother Tulio, thank you so much.
No, that's my pleasure. I mean, it was a commitment. I was a little bit nervous, but.
I don't know why. You did great.
But we are between brothers. I mean.
We will bring you back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend.
All right.
Say hello to your friend.
Thank you. I'll call him as soon as we're done. Hey, folks, those of you that have been viewing on other platforms, please, we need you to subscribe. We had a very good push in terms of subscriptions, and that has started to fall off. We need that momentum to continue. And because remember, we're doing this for you, but we cannot do this without you. Again, I want to thank Tulio Virguez for joining me today. Thank you all so much for listening to the Connecting the Dots podcast with me, Dr. Wilmer Leon. New episode tomorrow. Greg Palast will join us. We're going to be his research indicates that Vice President Kamala Harris was cheated out of almost 4 million votes. If you know Greg, you know he does his homework, he does his research, and Greg knows what he's talking about. So Greg Palast will join us tomorrow. Again, please follow and subscribe. We need those subscriptions greatly. Leave a review, share the show, follow us on social media. All the links are below. Remember that this is where the analysis of politics, culture, and history converge. That talk without analysis is just chatter. And we don't chatter here on Connecting the Dots. See y'all tomorrow. Greg Palast will join us. We need you to subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe. Until then, I am Dr. Wilmer Leon. See y'all tomorrow. Peace. I'm out.
Connecting the Dots with Dr. Wilmer Leon, where the analysis of politics, culture, and history converge.